You want a business you can trust with a name you can trust to work on your vehicle. Think Amco Transmissions and Total Car Care in North Logan. They have the experience to get your vehicle in and out quickly, diagnosed, and fixed right at the most affordable cost. Amco, 75 East, 2000 North in North Logan. And hey, if you're a mechanic, Amco is hiring. Come start your career for that same great national name and enjoy your new career. Apply today.
AA MCO.
This is Jamie Andrus, President and CEO of your Cache Valley Chamber of Commerce. I'm frequently asked, what is a Chamber of Commerce? A chamber is your resource for all things business. As a nonprofit membership organization, we are your voice advocating for legislative issues and an active proponent for business growth and expansion. For more information on becoming a member, visit cashchamber.com or call 435-752-2161.
The following is a paid program of commercial time on KVNU. The information, offers, and claims are solely those of the sponsor and not the opinions of this station, its affiliates, management, or employees. It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Good morning and welcome to the Garden Guide. This is Mark Anderson with Anderson Seed and Garden, and we've got a beautiful weekend today. It looks amazing outside. The sky is clear, and we've got a little bit cooler temperatures, so that has been very, very pleasant this week, and it looks like our high today is only going to be about 82, 84 degrees. I think we can survive with that.
I think so.
That is not bad at all. I was outside yesterday putting some honey supers on my hives. So the bees the boxes were pretty full.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So 3 brand new hives this year. So just had to give them a little bit of extra time to really get the infrastructure created there.
Right.
But the honey supers went on yesterday, and everybody seemed pretty content. So that's always nice.
Oh, that's so good.
I know. Sometimes they get unruly. And I don't like it when they're unruly. But yesterday was a great day for digging into the hives. It wasn't so hot, because sometimes on those really hot days, you've got your full bee suit on it.
You got a sweatsuit going.
It gets pretty warm. Yeah.
Portable sauna, right?
We'll just say that. Yeah. we'll just say that. But gardens are growing like crazy. If you haven't noticed, my tomatoes have been putting on 2 or 3 inches a day. And so they are just growing like crazy. I have been fertilizing quite consistently with a couple different fertilizers. The compost tea obviously is awesome for the tomato plants, but I use it on my peppers, use it on my melons and squashes, and cantaloupes are starting to run. In fact, I probably should be putting my weed barrier down. I like to put the weed barrier down around the tomatoes and the not the cucumbers as much, but the tomatoes and the squashes and the melons and the peppers. Keeps the weeds down, but it also generates a little bit of heat, and the fruit tends to hold up a little bit better on my cantaloupes and watermelons, and so they don't deteriorate as fast when they don't get that moisture building up there. So going over the weed barrier is just like perfect. So I'm planning on this weekend getting the weed barrier out there, because they're starting to run. They're starting to go all over the place.
Good plan.
Yeah. It's exciting. I've got a couple new varieties of cantaloupes that I'm planting, that I planted to try, and so I'm excited about that. And I just got some new tomato seeds in, and it's a little bit late for starting tomato seeds, but I thought I'd do it anyway, see if we can get a late crop coming. But there's a few varieties that have been around for quite some time, and they're kind of staples in the garden. And these are some very, very disease-resistant and excellent quality tomatoes that have been around since probably I'd say late 70s, early 80s on some of those. So we got Better Boy, Big Beef, Celebrity, and Lemon Boy. And the original producers of those seeds have altered them just slightly. So just a little bit of a new hybridization to increase their disease resistance and also increase their flavor and sweetness of the tomatoes. And so they use the same names, and it's same genetics and everything. They've just been hybridized just a little bit, and they're called Celebrity Plus and Big Beef Plus and Better Boy Plus and Lemon Boy Plus. So I just happened to get the very, very, very first seed samples that I'm aware of in Cache Valley, and I'm growing them. So we'll see how that works out. I don't have a lot to share, but I might have a couple when they really get going. So it might be 2 weeks, but that just reminds you that it's not too late to plant anything. So those tomatoes, even though I started them this week, they will be producing fruit the 1st of September, so it's really not too late at all. They're only about 70 days, and so that should work out perfectly. So I'm excited to try those. It's always an experimental farm at Anderson's to see what we grow and what new varieties we get to try. It makes it a lot of fun. So some great things going on at Anderson Seed this weekend. We've got vegetable plants and annual flowers. So the remaining vegetables and annual flowers that we have are half price right now. So it's a great time to come into Anderson's if you need to fill in a couple spots in the flower beds, or if you need just one more squash or one more tomato to make your garden complete. They are half price, so you can't beat that right now. And we are doing a special sale today, which is just today only. And for those of you listening to the radio, all of our perennials are 25% off. So if you want to get some new perennials for your flower bed, something to add to your landscape, this is the weekend to do that. So since Cody wasn't here last week, maybe I'll let you decide what the secret word's going to be for today.
Okay. That'd be a good one.
So what's the secret word going to be for the perennials?
Let's do raindrop.
Raindrop. All right.
That's the one.
I like that. That's nice.
It hits just right, doesn't it?
It's very appropriate, yes. So our special word for today is going to be raindrop. And if you come in the store and you tell cashiers at the register, or some of our associates who are out helping people with perennials and shrubs and flowers and trees, let them know that you know about the raindrop special, and that will give you 25% off on any of your perennials today. So looks like we do have some phone
already.
Mm-hmm. If you would like to join us here on the show, you are welcome to call in with questions or comments. We'd love to have your participation today. 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. And give us a call. We've got phone lines open. Lots of things to talk about. It's time to spray cherries. It's going to be time to spray apples and pears again here in the next couple of weeks. So we've got that to talk about. We can talk about watering for most efficiency on your lawn and your flower beds and your gardens, so you're not wasting water. That would be great. Grasshoppers and aphids are still going crazy. Mm-hmm. We're starting to see fire blight showing up on apples and pears, so that's a problem I was hoping we could avoid this year, but seeing a little bit of it out there as well too. So call in, join us on the show, 753-5868. 753-KVNU. And who's our first caller?
Yeah,
Cody?
We're going to have Kathy right here. She's got a question.
Good morning, Kathy. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning. I was listening to you talking about roses and remembered my roses are getting yellow leaves.
Yeah.
What do I do with them?
Really starting to see a lot of iron deficiency this year. And so it has a little bit to do with the heat, has a little bit to do with how much we've had to water the plants to get them looking good. And so iron chelate would be excellent. And I would use Oh, probably the EDDHA. It's best for the roses, usually 1 to 2 ounces, and an ounce is 2 tablespoons. 1 to 2 ounces per rose ought to be plenty. Mix it up in water and water the roses with it. And you can get on the leaves. That can be a little bit, if you mix it really strong, it could be a little bit too much. Don't do more than like 2 tablespoons per gallon if you're going to make sure, if you get on the leaves. So if you do the 2 ounces per gallon, make sure mix it at least 2 or 3 gallons of water so it's not too strong. But I'd probably just water the ground around the roses with it as hot as it's been. We don't want to do any damage. The combo chelate from Bicor would be excellent. That's a local product as well too. It has other nutrients in there other than just the iron, so it's got all the micronutrients and just a little bit of potassium in there to help the plants. That would be excellent also. 1 ounce per gallon on that one. And we're seeing iron deficiency in all kinds of trees and shrubs and flowers. Yeah, just all over.
My apple tree, same thing.
Yeah.
The leaves are going yellow.
Yeah. On the trees, we'd use an ounce per inch of trunk diameter. So an ounce per inch of trunk diameter is what you would want to use. So.
Okay, I have one more question also about roses.
Kathy. Yeah.
I've got a red rose, and it used to have just this beautiful big blossom with lots of little, what do you call them? Anyways, it was huge. And now it's just these little tiny roses that are just nothing.
Yeah.
Can I fix that?
It depends. There's a possibility the rose may have died back to the root system, and if that's the case, then the big, large, desirable, beautiful rose may not ever come back because a lot of times they will graft it onto a hardier rootstock. And that rootstock usually has smaller flowers that aren't as showy and don't smell as good, and they tend to be a little bit more aggressive, and they do that because sometimes the natural root system of some of those roses doesn't withstand the cold very well, or it doesn't handle varying soil conditions, and so they'll graft.
It had one big one on it this year, but then the rest of them have all been little.
So I would look at the rose and see where that big flower came and follow it back down to where it comes up out of the ground. And that one will probably be above the graft where it comes off the rose. But the other roses may be coming from below that graft, and so it's going to be a completely different rose. And you're going to want to trim those all the way back to the root system and just get rid of those, and hopefully encourage the other one to spread some more so you can keep that nice big pretty rose that we like so much.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you very much.
You are very welcome, Kathy. You have a wonderful weekend, and thanks so much for calling in. All right, we've got phone lines open, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, and you are welcome to call in and join us here on The Garden Guide. It's Cody and Mark having a wonderful
day
Saturday
too.
morning.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we've got another caller.
Yes, we do. Yeah. We got Bruce here for you.
All right, awesome. Bruce, thanks for joining us on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. I have a problem with clematis. They were in full bloom, my vines, and all of a sudden they turn yellow. I've lost all the blossoms, and they don't seem to be having any new growth.
Yeah.
I have used Miracle Grow, and that's about the extent of it. A little bit of manure earlier in the year, but that's about all.
Sure. Clematis like to have what's called hot heads and cold feet. And so usually, so usually you want to have them in a sunny location. I mean, they can handle partial shade, but you want the vines themselves to be warm. So usually we'll put them on a south-facing, building or fence or something, so they have like really good exposure to the light. But they like to have cool feet, and so we will mulch them very heavily, usually 2 or even 3 inches of mulch, because the root system likes to stay moist and cool. And we haven't really had much of either of those this year, unfortunately. But moist and cool, and so that thick mulch will reflect a lot of the heat off and keep the root system cool and moist longer. And so don't overwater them. They don't like to be soggy, but I'd say probably once every 4 or 5 days ought to be great if you've got a good thick mulch in there. But you may want to mulch them a little bit heavier. The other issue could be they may be a little nutrient deficient. And so we just talked to Kathy about iron deficiency. The clematis tend to display iron chlorosis quite frequently also. I would probably recommend the combo chelate for you, but since it has iron, but it also has manganese and zinc and boron and copper. So it's got a lot of other micronutrients in there as well too. Possibly even a product like Boomerang. Boomerang's made for plants that are struggling a little bit. Focuses on the root system, gets the root system and the soil around the plants really healthy again, helps the plants pick up the nutrient better. Maybe a combination of the Boomerang with a little bit of iron combo chelate would be great for that plant. It's not too much fertilizer. It's very mild fertilizer, but it has a lot of those micros in there that would really help with the clematis and hopefully get it to bloom again as well too, get it blooming. But thick mulch, 3 inches of mulch, don't overwater, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that perks up for you.
Okay.
All right.
Would I expect to have more blooms this summer?
Absolutely. So you could even, if you see some parts that are kind of dying back, you could even prune it a little bit just to kind of clean some of that stuff up. And like I said, we'll keep our fingers crossed that you can get some new growth and some new flower buds coming anytime soon.
I kind of call this a miracle plant because when it dies back, it's so scrawny.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect it to ever come back, but it does.
I love the clematis. They're very, very pretty, and
they are.
And you're right. It's like in the fall, we'll just trim ours way back, and it just like comes right back out in the spring. So, gotta love it.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for calling this morning, Bruce. Have a great weekend. All right, we are phone lines are open still. 753-5868. 753-KVNU, and we'd love to have you call in with a question or comment. Join us here on the show. Cody, we've got another caller.
Yes, we do.
All
we
right.
have Laurie on the line.
All
She's
right.
got a question.
Good morning, Laurie. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Hi. Hey, my question is, we have those bugs that are they look like box elder bugs, but they're not box elder bugs.
They're smaller.
How do you get rid of those?
Yeah, they're smaller. They are actually elm seed beetles. And it was just a few years ago, probably 3, maybe 4 years ago, we really started seeing those in larger numbers here in Cache Valley. And we've always been inundated with box elder bugs. I can remember back in the 70s when we'd just be like, my father's barn would be just like covered with box elder bugs at certain times of the year. So those have been around for a long time. But these elm seed beetles kind of migrated in a few years back, and they are smaller. They're a little more brown. They have kind of a unique pattern on their back, I would call it, and they are a nuisance like the box elder bugs. They don't really damage plants. They actually eat the seeds of the elm trees, and we have a lot of elms around here. So it was just a few years ago that the elm seed beetles kind of moved into Cache Valley because there's a good food source here for them. Whatever you use for the box elder bugs would do a great job on the elm seed beetles, and so you can use probably Bug Blaster from High Yield. Excellent product. Doesn't smell, doesn't stain, knocks those critters down like crazy. Gives you probably a 3 or 4 week residual. So you get a nice long residual. And it works on spiders and ants and earwigs and box elder bugs and grasshoppers as well too. Mosquitoes. So it's a great product. You just can't use it on edibles. But it's great to use around the house, around the windows, around the doors, along the foundation. The other options would be permethrin would be excellent. I really like the seismic or the psychic. Gives you that extra long residual, and those do a great job. Quick knockdown, extra long residual. We're talking 3 or 4 months instead of 3 or 4 weeks on the seismic or the psychic, and those are very, very, very safe products to use inside as well as out. And they do a great job on all kinds of insects, especially the elm seed beetles. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So they don't bother your plants? They don't eat them?
No, they don't bite people, and they don't bother plants. They just get into the house, and they're a major nuisance. And they are after the seeds on the elm trees. So that's what they really get after. So.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, appreciate your help. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Good luck with your critters, and you have a wonderful weekend, Laurie.
You too.
All right, we'll see you. All right, phone lines are filling up. We'll call it filling up.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868 if you'd like to join us here on The Garden Guide. All right, Cody, who's up next?
Yeah, so up next we have Chris, and we also have Tammy on the other end, and if she's patient with us, we promised that we would get to her either before or after the break, either one.
We're kind of getting close to the break.
Yep,
so.
here's Chris, though.
Right. Good morning, Chris. Welcome to The Garden Guide.
Good morning to you. Are you carrying black creme tomatoes this year?
You know what? We have had some of those this year. We are getting late enough into the season. I'm not sure if we have any left. So I apologize not knowing exactly what I have, but we do have a good selection of tomatoes left. And there were some black ones, and I know I have some black cherries. So if you if you'd like a black cherry, I have a secret storage location with some black cherry tomatoes. Actually,
underground.
Yeah,
is
well,
that what
I actually grew them for a class and didn't get them started quite fast enough, and so they weren't ready when we did the class. So I had to go to Plan B with the tomatoes, and so I have some growing upstairs at the store, and they are looking great right now. They're probably 4 to 5 inches tall, and they're ready to be transplanted. So I do have some of those. So if you want to find me, Chris, I'd be glad to share a black cherry with you. I can't tell you for sure if I have a black crim in stock, but that's a really unique and different tomato. So it's good choice.
Okay, I'll check down at the store then.
All right. Yes, I will be there for most of the day. I've got a couple commitments this afternoon later, but if you'd like one of those, come find me, and I would be happy to share with you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Thanks for calling this morning, Chris.
You bet.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. All right. We should be able to get Tammy in there.
Yeah, we are.
Should be good.
Well, what are the odds? We got her in there. I didn't think we could, but we're going to do it. So here's Tammy for you.
Good morning, Tammy.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well.
So I've got several questions. I'll try and hurry with them.
Oh, you're fine.
I want to know why my grass is going to seed when it's short. I mean, I've seen taller grass go to seed, but my lawn, and I mow it long, but so it's about 3 or 4 inches, but it's going to seed. What causes that?
It's the time of year. The grass normally and naturally goes to seed in June, so it's not unusual to see the grass go to seed this time of year. And then it has a little bit to do with the fluctuating temperatures that we've had this month. So think about it. And end of May, it was starting to get kind of hot, and then all of a sudden it was like 45 degrees for the high, and then it went up to 95, and then we went to a little cold period for 2 or 3 days again, and then up to 100 degrees, and then here this week we were down in the 70s for a couple days, and so it's not unusual with the roller coaster temperatures that we've had for the grass to go to seed. So late May, early June, later June is kind of normal for the grass to go to seed. So just mow it off, and it will be just fine. It will disappear, the little stems, if there's some stiffer stems from the seed pods. It'll disappear as well too. So
okay.
No worries.
So it's nothing really to worry about.
No, it's not. That's why July and August are such great times of year to plant grass seed, because it's right after the seed would normally drop off of the plants.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, doesn't that make sense? And then people are always like, well, it's too hot. It's not going to be good. It's going to be, my plants aren't going to go. It's like, no. This is when it's supposed to germinate, is during that hot part of the summer. So July and August would be the natural time for the grass to drop its own seed and for that seed to germinate and come up. So that's why it's such a great time to plant grass, even when the temperatures are hot. So
great.
Yeah.
So my next question is, the last time I sprayed bug killer, I waited till 9 o'clock at night so that the temps would be cool and the bees would go to bed.
Right.
But the next morning when I got up, and I used triple action, by the way, I have my leaves, the leaves are blotchy. They're black. It almost looks like I've damaged them.
Yeah. The triple action has neem oil in it, and when we hit high temperatures, sometimes the oil can burn a little bit. And even though you've sprayed earlier in the evening, as long as we're hitting 95 to 100 degrees the next day, it can it can still burn just a little bit. So
so in that case, when we're having these high temperatures, is it better for me to do it in the morning?
No, I'd still do it in the evening. That's definitely the best time to do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, stick with the evening. We just might want to switch to a different insecticide that's a little safer for hot temperatures.
I'm trying to control grasshoppers. Which one would work better that wouldn't leave my plants ugly?
Yeah, the grasshoppers are kind of out of control this year. Have to admit, there's a few that have still lingered in my garden after putting my repellent out, so I may have to go.
Oh, and I did use the repellent, and I have seen a big results with that, but I still have a few more lingering.
Yep. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. So I put my repellent out last Thursday, and by probably Monday, Tuesday, there was hardly any grasshoppers left in there, but there's a few still hopping around. And so if I decide to go back and spray a little bit just to kind of finish those guys off, I'll probably use 7. And,
okay.
Yeah, and the new formulation of 7 is very mild. It's very, very low toxicity for people, but very effective on the grasshoppers. And so this is not the old version of 7, which was the active ingredient was called carbaryl. This is a new version of 7, and it has zeta-cypermethrin in there. And so it's very, very safe, very, very effective. On most vegetables, you can spray it right up to about the day or two before you're going to harvest.
My raspberries, it's safe. And,
I think with the raspberries, I think the limitation is 3 days from when you spray to when you can harvest. And so that should work great for you on the grasshoppers. Very effective to knock those guys down, but also super low toxicity, so you could just like pick on most things the next day, wash it off, eat it, and away you go.
Okay, my last question is my bush beans. They look wonderful to look at them from above, but when you get down close to the ground, the bottom leaves are like dying. You can like crush them in your hand. And I don't see any bugs in there.
So the top leaves look good, green, new growth coming out, but some of the older leaves are getting kind of brown and crispy.
The older leaves are drying and just looking. I mean, you can like crush them in your hand. They're so dry and crispy. It's like a potato chip.
Spider mites are a good possibility, and they start on the lower leaves and work their way up, and they'll make the leaves go kind of brown and crispy, sticky, and you'll see little teeny tiny webs in there, so that's a possibility. We have seen, like, on the lower branches of, like, tomatoes and beans, we've seen some scalding this year as well, too, because you water, you get some nice soil moisture there, and then you get a really hot day, and the water will evaporate, and it can kind of steam the leaves a little bit, even along the bottom of the plants. You'll see the bottom leaves kind of curl up a little bit. I would just watch that new growth, make sure your new growth is coming out and looking good, and if that's the case, I wouldn't worry about it too much, but I'd definitely watch for spider mites. And if you need to, bring a sample in, because the spider mites will start on the lower leaves and they'll gradually transfer up to the top, and then all of a sudden the whole thing will go crispy.
And triple action's good for spider mites.
Does a good job on the spider mites, and so does the new version of 7.
Oh,
so,
okay. Good to know.
Yep, so that would work well also. But you're welcome to bring me a sample in. I'd be glad to take a look at it, see if you got spider mites going on.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mark.
You are so welcome, Tammy. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
All right. We are at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a short break here at the Garden Guide, but we'll be here to answer more questions when we get back. So if you would like to call in and join us, 753-586-8753-KVNU, and we'll be back right after these brief messages.
With your KVNU News Update this hour, brought to you by Cache Valley Pharmacy, I'm Will Feelwright. Well, the end of tenant protections by month's end has raised concerns that thousands of Utah residents will be unable to afford their monthly rent and face eviction. The state has received millions in federal funding to help with outstanding rent, utility payments, and other expenses, but extensive federal rules have slowed the flow of money to those in need. Any Utah tenant at risk of being evicted will be left to find a new home in the tight rental market where there is a shortage of affordable units. Meanwhile, the eviction moratorium in Idaho, put in place by the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, ends July 31st, raising concerns that many Idaho residents who are renters could be made homeless. Idaho has so far spent about $21 million of the $190 million that was received in federal coronavirus rescue money to help with outstanding rent, utility payments, and other expenses. But homeless advocates say the documentation and a lack of internet access to participate in online court hearings have stymied many renters. Those evicted face a tough housing market as home prices and rents have risen sharply in Idaho's rapid population growth. Well, as we're enjoying this first official weekend of summer, temperatures not bad, as we're going to stay right around the mid to high 80s over the next few days. Temperatures overnight are going to stay right around the mid 50s with sunny, clear skies as we head into the first of this next week. We'll get back into the 90s. In fact, it looks like by about middle of next week, we're going to be back upwards of around 96 to 98 degrees. By the end of the week, we could be pushing close to 100 again. I'm Will Feelwright for KVNU News.
From ABC Sports. Hi, everybody. I'm Todd Ant. Looking for a spark in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final, the Bucks ran the Hawks off the court in Milwaukee.
Giannis against John Collins, driving, spinning in, fading, shooting, good.
The call on the Bucks radio network, Milwaukee used a 43-17 second quarter run to bust the game open. Giannis Antetokounmpo led all scorers with 25 points. The Bucks trounced the Hawks 125-91, and that evens their best-of-7 series at 1 apiece. After pulling out a dramatic overtime win in Game 6, the Islanders simply ran out of gas in a winner-take-all Game 7.
Killorn at center ice. Middle, Anthony Cirelli short-handed. Across the New York line, right circle. Killing a little time in the right corner. Cirelli feeds Gordon in front. Score!
On WFLA, Yanni Gordy's short-handed goal was the difference maker. The Lightning edged the Isles 1-0 to advance to the Stanley Cup Final. Tampa will face the Montreal Canadiens beginning Monday. This is...
If you live in the south end of the valley, no doubt you've noticed the historical Hiram Granary taking an important role in our new Cache Valley Bank location. I'm Catherine Buse, branch manager. Keeping in touch with our history while looking to the future is part of Cache Valley Bank's mission. Hiram is Cache Valley Bank's 7th location in the valley. Join us for food and giveaways as we celebrate our Hiram branch grand opening June 26th. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
It's time to find out who won this year's Best of Northern Utah contest.
Best of Northern Utah.
Brought to you by Thermo Fisher. Listen Thursday morning, July 1st. Or go to bestofnorthernutah.com. Over 800 businesses were nominated and over 100,000 votes were cast. Thursday, July 1st, we'll share the results as we unveil gold and silver winners in 164 different categories. Thank you for participating in the 2021 Best of Northern Utah contest.
The expert with a green thumb. It's the Garden Guide on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
All right, looks like we are back here on the Garden Guide. Mark Anderson with Anderson Seed and Garden. My awesome producer Cody's here as well too.
Oh, I thank you.
You have been busy over there answering the phone.
I know.
Morning, so
you're making me work for it.
That's kind of nice. We love those phone calls coming in, and we do have lines open. So if you would like to join us here on the Garden Guide, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or if you're outside of our local area, you can always call 1-800-369-5868. We've been talking about all kinds of things, bugs. We've been talking about roses. We've been talking about clematis and all kinds of various questions coming up in the garden. So time to spray cherries. If you have not sprayed your cherries yet, this is the time to spray your cherries, unless you like extra protein in your cherries, which means, little white grubs that
worm.
Yes, a little bit of worm. Not my favorite thing to find inside the cherries. But there are some good options to get those under control. Utah State University Extension Service has released the new spray dates for apples and pears for the second flight of codling moths. So be sure to get that on your calendar. I think it's around the 7th of July through about the 20th of July, 24th. let's just say the 4th of July through the 24th of July. It makes it easy to remember. That's going to be the next spray for apples and pears. So that's going to be our next opportunity to try and control codling moth. So sometimes that second flight is even more damaging than the first flight of codling moth, and so we got to watch out for those guys out there doing damage to our apples and our pears, darn it.
Yeah.
But with the cherries, you want to hit them right when they color up. And so our cherries have really colored. We got them sprayed a couple of weeks, about 2 weeks ago. And we're going to be picking here in about a week or so. And so if you have not sprayed your cherries, now's the time to really get those under control. Very safe product out there. It's called spinosad. Spinosad is a natural bacteria. It just kills caterpillars. It works great on the cherry fruit flies that their larvae like to get into the cherries. And so this is a very effective and safe way to get those insects under control before they get into your cherries. Unfortunately, it doesn't do anything for the birds that are eating the cherries like crazy. So we have netting for the birds. Does a really great job. There's some reflective tape that you can use to scare the birds off as well, too. But we have 2 predators going after the cherries like crazy right now. One is avian in nature, so robins and blackbirds. Last year we had starlings come in, and they basically just ate every cherry off the tree in like one day. It was like they flocked in, or however we want to call it. It's like this huge flock. And it's like attacked the tree, and there was like nothing left on the tree except for pits.
Plague of Egypt, I guess. I don't know.
It's just like it destroyed our cherries last year. So hopefully we will not have that same problem this year. So good time to do that. If you have not done a preventative insecticide for lawns, now's the great time to do that. So if you've got questions about the lawn insects, we should probably do that. I've got lots and lots of people calling in and visiting at the store trying to figure out what's the best way to keep their lawn looking good with less water. So it seems like a lot of people in our community are very conscientious of water usage and are hoping to be able to cut back the amount of water but still keep their yards looking relatively good. I don't think they are expecting them to be perfect, but there's a lot of different things we can do to cut our water usage considerably and still keep our lawn and landscape looking great, and especially the vegetable garden. I think a lot of times we water a little bit too much, so we can really cut that back. So looks like we've got a phone call.
Yes, we do.
And phone lines are open, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. And who is up next, Cody?
Janet with a J.
There we go.
I am sure that I got the name right this time.
Good morning, Janet.
Hi. Hey, just real quick, I wanted to know. I have Cazeron and was busy this year and never got it on.
Okay.
My raspberries.
Yes.
So I want to do it now, but you always say, it'll kill the new shoots. And at what point do the new shoots get woody? I don't know. I'm like looking at it, and it doesn't look like I can use it, but I need to use it.
Yes. You want to use it, so you don't have to be out there weeding quite as much. I understand.
Right.
I understand. Those new shoots that come up will start to turn brown and woody down towards the bottom, and when that happens, you can go ahead and use the Cazeron. I would suspect it's pretty soon. Usually, it's around the 1st of July. And so you should be pretty good. So just kind of watch that new growth, make sure it's going woody. As long as the plants are up and really well established, it should not bother them. And the Cazeron will last the rest of the summer. I mean, it'll last until basically November.
I know. I love the stuff. Yeah, it's amazing. And I also noticed that it was like one day I was looking at my raspberries going, gosh, they look nice. There's not a single borer. It doesn't look like. And the next day it was like, oh, look, my entire patch.
The tops all just went like overnight.
It was just like in one day.
Yeah, and it has a little bit to do with the heat, and it has a lot to do with the timing of the insects. And so our spring weather was very odd, and I think they came in a little bit earlier than what we would anticipate, because a lot of times we will usually tell people, best time to spray is like usually right before they bloom, and then again, right after they bloom. But they bloomed a little bit late this year, and so I think the timing was off probably a little bit. We should have been spraying middle of May, which is more normal. But stuff was really
is there
slow.
anything I can do other than going through and pruning myself?
Prune those tops off. Yeah, there's really nothing that will get them from the inside out. I mean, you can use a systemic, but then you can't really pick your raspberries either. So,
yeah. Okay, and that's the whole point. So
yeah.
I want to get that. Now, also, I've never used Cazeron around my fruit trees.
Yeah.
But under several of them, I'm getting the bindweed's ridiculous this year. And so I'm just wondering if I can do that and then throw some wood chips and things that I have on top of that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
As long as it's not around the trunk?
That would work great. Yeah, that would work very, very well. So in around those trees, it could be fruit trees, it can be shade trees, flowering trees. The Cazeron won't bother those at all. Stop all those weeds from coming up, and you are more than welcome to put a little bit of mulch over the top of it. Work just fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, those were my questions.
I know.
So
Cazeron's just like the best, isn't it? I love
Oh my
that.
gosh,
I
I
love
can't
that
live
stuff.
without the stuff. It's the first thing I buy every year.
The only gardeners that I talk to that really don't like it are the ones that put it in spots where they probably ought not to.
That's why I'm a little concerned. It's like I don't want to. My raspberry patch is gorgeous. I do not want to lose any of it.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to do it because the bindweed's blooming and it's huge and it's driving me nuts.
And it'll take that out. You know, if you are listening and you've never used Cazeron, it is a post-emergent as well as a pre-emergent. So it will kill a lot of weeds that are there and grasses and stop new ones from coming up for 6 to 8 months. And so it's amazing, but you have to use it on woody plants. You can't use it on like perennials or bulbs or flowers. So don't use it in your flower beds, Janet. So.
Yeah, I would never.
I'm glad you're having great results with it. So
yes, it's great.
That's
okay,
awesome.
Well, thank you very much.
You are so welcome. Thanks for calling this morning, and have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
All right. We've got about a little more than 15 minutes left in the Garden Guide. You are welcome to join us. 753-5868, 753-KVNU. And Cody, we got another call. Yeah.
Imagine that, right?
Yeah.
Here's John.
All right. Good morning, John. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Hi, Mark. John out in Hiram.
Yes.
Kingsman?
Yes, I'm familiar with your voice, sir.
Mark, my pole beans, they were healthy at first. Now as they're starting to climb, their leaves are just wrinkling up.
Yeah.
And, on all of them, not just a couple. What would that be, and what could I do?
It definitely could be spider mites. So I had talked to, I think it was Tammy earlier in the show. Spider mites are starting to show up, and they love beans. So they love the beans, and they will make the leaves go kind of speckly and a little bit wilty as well, too. So that is one possibility. I'll probably recommend you bring a sample of the leaves in, John. Let me take a look at it, see if we can figure out if that's it. The pole beans usually are pretty aggressive. They don't mind the heat, hot temperatures. As long as they're getting consistently watered, they should be fine. Don't overwater the beans, but I would probably recommend every 3 to 5 days right now ought to be great. It's a little bit cooler right now, so I've kind of cut back on the watering in my garden. But up till now, I've been trying to hit about every 4 days, even with the heat, and soak them really good, and then let them kind of dry out in between waterings. But I would kind of lean towards the spider mites for right now.
I'll bring some leaves in there Monday morning, and have you take a peek.
That would be perfect. And they'll usually hide on the undersides, and they'll make the leaves kind of wilty and then go speckly, and then they can go kind of crispy and brittle after that as well too. And they'll definitely affect your crop. So we want to get them under control before they get too far advanced as well. So
okay, thanks so much.
You are so welcome. Anytime, John. You are welcome to call.
All right, bye.
All right, thanks so much. Yep, and we've got phone lines open. We've got a little bit of time left in the show, 753-5868, 753-KVNU. And like I mentioned, grasshoppers are still going a little crazy. Hey, we did get ladybugs in. So we got ladybugs in this week. So we have a good supply of ladybugs available. If you still are struggling with aphid problems, and the aphids were crazy this year. So lots and lots and lots of aphids, and they've done quite a bit of damage. In fact, I looked at some of my new trees that we're trying to get established to bring down to the store to sell, and they have some aphids on them. So I got to get the ladybugs out and get those guys under control. Cody, we got another caller.
Yes, we do.
And a couple coming in.
Yes, I'm going to get to them. Hang on the phone lines. This is Cole.
All right. Good morning, Cole. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning. So I have a Golden Delicious apple tree that it's on its 4th year that I planted. And my neighbor was out and saw that I had some dead ends on it. I have it in the front of my house.
Yeah.
And said that it looked like I had fire blight. Yep,
fire
I went
blight.
and looked at it, and they claimed to me to cut them off, and then I'd have to bleach or clean with Clorox the blades of each cut.
Yes.
So it doesn't spread. And they said, well, you better call Mark Anderson and double check, because I'm pretty sure that's what he told me.
Yes.
And I said, well, I will call Mark Anderson and double check.
There you go. We have seen fire blight popping up, so I've seen quite a few samples this week, and Golden Delicious are a little susceptible to it, and it will make the tips, where the blossoms were, it'll make them kind of shepherd's crook over, and they'll just start dying back. And you want to prune all that out. Go 6 to 8 inches past the last visible damage. So you're going to go into the healthy wood, and we're going to prune that out. You can pick up that bacteria from the fire blight on your pruners, and so that's why you want to sterilize your pruners after each cut. Personally, I don't like the bleach because it's kind of hard on the pruners, so I use peroxide. And the peroxide works great. So a couple tablespoons of peroxide in like a pint of water. I usually will throw it in like a trigger sprayer, and then I can just like hook the trigger sprayer on my back pocket of my pants. And after I make each cut, you can just grab the sprayer and just a light spritz on the blades, and it does a great job at killing the bacteria, preventing you from spreading it from one place to those new fresh cuts, because it'll continue to kill. And then I would highly recommend you treat your tree with a product called Garden Foss right now. The Garden Foss is a systemic fungicide, and it works on bacterial diseases, and it's the only thing that I'm aware of that works on fire blight once the trees have been infected. So it will actually stop it from spreading from the interior of the tree and prevent more damage from happening. Fire blight can really kill whole branches and sometimes even the entire tree if you don't get it under control. So.
Well, I'll be visiting your store today then.
All right, so prune, sterilize, and Garden Foss, and we'll keep our fingers crossed you should be in good shape. All right?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hey, thanks for calling this morning, Cole, and plan on watching for you at the store.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Okay, Cody, you've got another call.
It would help if I turned my microphone on, wouldn't it? That happens a lot. Yeah.
You have a couple things to keep track of over
there. I'm juggling a lot, but you know what? I'm happy to have Todd on the line for you right here.
That works. Good morning, Todd. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Hey, good morning, Mark. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, I've got a couple sugar maples that are getting chlorotic, and they typically get chlorotic every year.
Yes.
And what I've done this year is earlier I went around the drip line, and I've drilled inch holes about a foot and a half deep, and then I take that powdered chelated iron, and then I mix it in water, and then just let it drip in there out of the 5-gallon bucket. But I've got one that just doesn't seem to be responding. Is there another way? Should I spray it on the foliage, or what do you think I should do?
As hot as it's been, I would be hesitant to spray it on. I would maybe do another application. One thing that you can do, and this might save you some time, is instead of drilling the holes, there's a product you can put in with the iron that's a soil penetrant that will get it to penetrate into the soil better, and it also makes it more available to the plant, whether it's a tree or a shrub. And we use it with our hanging baskets, with our secret recipe for the hanging baskets, but it's called Easy Wet. And the Easy Wet would make it so even if you have kind of hard compacted soils, it'll make it so it'll absorb that right down into the ground, and it gets it right into the root zone. Depending on your tree, it may have a more shallow root system, and so you may have even got the iron down a little deeper than it needs, and it might not be able to pick it up. And so I would just mix it up in a 5-gallon bucket, and then just kind of retreat that one tree if it's not responding like everybody else. The other thought, Todd, is sometimes it's not always iron. Sometimes it's a manganese deficiency as well too, and it looks very, very similar to the iron deficiency. In fact, it's kind of hard to distinguish between the two. So you may want to use a product like the Iron Combo Chelate, which has the manganese in with the iron as well too, and you could just mix that up in water and water the tree with it. Also, an ounce per inch of trunk diameter would be like perfect.
Yeah, the leaves seem to be burning around the edges and turning brown.
Yeah.
On it, so yeah, I'll give that a try.
Yeah, when they're iron deficient or stressed like that, they're more susceptible to wind and sunburn, and you'll get that burning, crisping along the edges for sure.
Okay.
So, all right.
Alrighty. Hey, last thing, I got a couple of peach trees that have got a little shot hole fungus showing up all of a sudden. Should I put some F-stop on that? Spray it on now.
The F-stop would do great for that. Yes, it would be excellent. I'm trying not to pat myself on the back too much, but I'm excited. Perfect timing this year. I got my disease control and my aphid control on my stone fruits, just right after the blossoms fell off, and I just haven't had to deal with aphids at all, and it's just like cleared up the shot hole fungus just perfect. So maybe get that on the calendar for a fall application when the leaves drop off, and on the spring calendar for right when the blossoms fall off, and you can really stop that stuff from showing up. So all right,
alrighty, thank
awesome.
you very much.
Thanks for calling, Todd. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, Cody, we got time for like one more.
Yeah, we do if they're really quick on the draw.
All right.
Oh,
all right. Oh,
maybe they are.
I see the line ringing again. So, all right. We did talk fire blight, so that's great that Cole called in, and it is showing up in gardens and in orchards, and so just be aware with fire blight. It can affect pears and apples, flowering crab, flowering pear, hawthorns. Can get into cotoneasters, and I've actually seen some in roses this year as well too. So I've seen some samples in the roses. So keep an eye on those particular plants. There's a couple others as well too, but watch for a new growth where the blossoms were dying back. Prune those sections out. Sterilize your pruners between each cut. You want to make the cuts 4 to 6 to 8 inches past the last visible damage, and then treat your affected plants with the garden foss to prevent it from spreading any further into the plants, and that really does make a huge difference on the fire blight. We can get one more call in?
Yes, we can. Congratulations to Christine for being quick on the draw here.
Excellent. Good morning, Christine.
How are you?
Doing great.
When you were talking about apple trees, I was thinking about I have a Red Delicious, and they never get, so they taste good. They're always sour. Is that just Red Delicious? Or?
No, usually they should sweeten up a little bit. When are you harvesting them?
Well, I've been told to wait till after the first freeze because that will bring the sugar into them.
It can. Some varieties of Red Delicious are a little bit later than others, so you may have to leave them on a little bit longer. You might be just getting them a little immature.
So what do you mean, longer than September?
Yeah. Sometimes October? It's the 1st of October. Yeah. So
what if we have one of those ugly snowstorms?
That's quite all right. We picked our apples pretty late last year, and we didn't have hardly any frost damage. So they can handle colder temperatures as long as we don't get sustained cold temperatures and we start getting into the low 20s. That'll do some damage. But you may want to leave them on an extra week or two. When you think they're ready, pick a couple, bring them in, and let me take a look at them, and I might sample them a little bit as well too, if that's okay. And I can tell you, I can tell you if they're ready or not. So I do a lot of apple sampling in the fall to help people figure out what varieties they are, but also we can tell if they're ripe. The other thing that's really good is to use calcium on those. So any product that has calcium in it, calcium nitrate, gypsum has a lot of calcium in it. There's like a nutrient deficiency that gets into the golden and the red delicious, which can affect their flavor, but also makes them look kind of pockmarked, and the calcium will clear that right up. So you might want to think about that as well too.
You have it in the store?
I do. Calcium nitrate's perfect. Yeah, it makes them grow and has the calcium in it. So we got to run, Christine.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for calling
Bye.
this morning. Have a great weekend. And thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone for calling in. Yeah, we have had a full phone board today.
Yeah, we did. It was really fun.
That's
Thanks for
nice.
everybody. Christine, thanks for being quick on the draw, getting everything in there.
That's awesome. Great weekend to be outside gardening. Don't forget, it's not too late to plant anything. Our word of the day is raindrop. So if you missed that earlier, perennials are 25% off if you come in and mention raindrop to one of our associates at Anderson Seed and Garden. You get 25% off your perennials. Annual flowers, what's left, are half price. Vegetables, what's left are half price. The plants, not the seeds. And we got lots of great things going at Anderson's this weekend. Come see us, and we'll be back again next week with another edition of the Garden Guide.
The preceding was a paid program of Commercial Time on KVNU. The information, offers, and claims were solely those of the sponsor and not the opinions of this station, its affiliates, management, or employees. Around the clock.
I listen to you all the time.
News Talk, KVNU Logan, 610 AM at 102.1 FM.